You're watching CarTell TV and I'm Jenny. So this car behind me may be a car that you wouldn't even consider buying, or it may be the perfect car for you. Either way, here we are, so let's take a look at it.
This model is an undeniably outdated design that's falling behind the rest of the industry at the moment. Even the manufacturer thinks so. Luckily, we're getting an all-new model pretty soon.
But for the time being, this one is a great buy for the features that it offers, and the design, while being outdated, is still a good one. Okay, so in case you didn't read the title, the one I have here is the Nissan X Trail 2021 in the Ti trim, and it's up around the top of the offerings. It's a facelift of the current model, but just barely.
You see, they changed it just enough to call it a facelift, but not too much, as an all-new and much improved version is coming next year.
Now, regarding the looks, in 2013 it was awesome. Nowadays though, not so much.
Sure, the general design is still appealing. I do like the headlights and the narrow grille, all the chrome bits and the front fascia, that all seems to point to the license plate. It was an evolution of the old design and a very welcome one.
So yes, I can't say that I don't like it. But the industry has moved on, and even Nissan has moved on.
Check out the front of the model that is coming next year. The side and rear are more obvious examples of the design directions of the old era. The X Trail feels more cumbersome than most of its rivals. What makes it a bit less so is loads of chrome starting from the lower section of the doors and all the way up to this large window, surround and roof rails.
There are 3 engine options to choose from, but they can't all be selected in all trims. So let's break that down a bit.
We start with the 2-litre petrol that produces 106 kilowatts and 200 newton meters of torque, the latter from 4,400 revs. Yes, it's naturally aspirated. It can be paired with either a 6-speed manual, and it powers only the entry-level's ST trim. Then there's a 2.5-litre petrol with 126 kilowatts and 226 newton meters from 4,400 revs. Yep, also naturally aspirated. It's paired with an Xtronic CVT gearbox and can be front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. It can be selected in ST, STL and Ti, the last one having only the four-wheel drive version.
That's the one I have here.
The last option is an M9R turbo diesel with 130 kilowatts of power and 380 newton meters of torque, kicking in with full force from 2,000 revs. It's paired with the Xtronic CVT only, it's four-wheel drive and can only power their TS trim level.
While it seems like the diesel is a top pick in terms of ability, the top trim actually comes with this 2.5-litre petrol.
Look, having in mind all the available powertrains, no X Trail in this generation will give you a sporty driving experience.
The best way to describe this powertrain would be relaxed. It's fuss-free, although it definitely has enough go when you need it. But you wouldn't call it zippy, and you probably wouldn't want it. Its handling is not great.
Also, it's very evident that newer CVTs are starting to feel more engaging, and this one does make the most out of this engine, as it easily jumps to the most comfortable revs. But this CVT actually does feel a little more disconnected in terms of driving feel than some of the newer options I've seen recently tested.
To be fair, in terms of practicality, it's a good choice. In terms of driving feel, however, it's got a very boxy and boaty, bouncy feel. It actually feels like you're driving a much bigger car.
When you press the pedal harder, engine noise gets more noticeable. Handling and suspension are a fine mix of comfort and control, with a slight edge given to the comfort.
Steering is also a bit lighter. It doesn't have that nice connected feel, which I really value, and it's overall a bit lurchy.
The X Trail of this generation is obviously aimed at being a city SUV, with the ability to take you on an occasional road trip.
And for those conditions, you won't mind that lighter steering or the softer setup as much.
You will welcome the easy jump to comfortable revs, made possible by the gearbox. And you can cruise peacefully along without any noisiness caused by the CVT.
Now, all of the powertrains in the X Trail can be described as sufficient, but what they aren't is leading technology.
The closest to a spirited drive is the 2-litre diesel. Yes, the 2-litre diesel is the sporty pick. That's how sporty the engines are.
Now, I should also tell you about the 4-wheel drive system, which has 3 modes.
It can be front-wheel drive only, it can be locked in 4-wheel drive, or you can have it in auto mode. The main appeal of this car changed over the years. It used to be one of the most popular vehicles in its class, and it was understandable at the time.
It had offered good engines, fine efficiency, and modern styling and features. And that was about 8 years ago. X Trail had kept up pretty well. But 8 years is a long time in the car world, so the main appeal shifted from familiar mechanics and, acceptable modernness to later again, acceptable everything, and a lot of space.
Yes, the X Trail is pretty spacious, and no modernising will change that. Well, maybe the Ioniq 5, but that's a completely different story.
The X Trail's front is spacious and really easy to navigate. It's also ergonomic and has really nice materials.
Soft touch surfaces are everywhere, and that really makes a lot of difference when it comes to spending time in this car.
And as much as I don't hate it, the styling is very outdated, and that's just undeniable.
I mean, compare it to the upcoming X Trail that's supposed to be here next year.
But they are worlds apart, and we'll have to wait to see what the pricing is for the new one. But I doubt it's going to be cheaper than this one.
But in terms of the interior design, as popular as this one was almost a decade ago, it's just not able to compete with the market anymore.
In terms of practicality, it just barely ticks all of those standard modern boxes. It has only one USB charging port, but two 12-volt chargers, storage spaces, and the materials are really good. Where it does get extra points is the comfort of the seats. Personally, I find them very comfortable, some of the best I've sat in recently, and the materials are nice, and they're heated too.
The infotainment system got updated as well, and it has better graphics and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as DAB digital radio and voice recognition.
All of that is cool, but it still has this little 7-inch screen, and it is well behind in terms of the times. That, and it's not in a practical position for your driver's eye line. It should really be higher, especially that size.
I do love the physical buttons in terms of functionality, but once again, they aren't really meeting a current standard in terms of styling.
The rear actually features sliding and reclining seats, although the mechanism's not the most, I guess, ergonomic. But it can fit two adults very comfortably in the back here. You've got standard features like map pockets, air vents, no USB charging ports, armrest with cup holders, and a bottle holder down here too.
I should also tell you that there's a 7-seat version and it can be powered by that 2.5 and only in front-wheel drive layout. The boot has the capacity of 565 litres or 945 with the seats folded.
You also get underfloor storage, which is useful, I guess.
It's pretty good in terms of safety, with most of the main safety features we would expect. This top TI trim gets a few nice features like emergency braking, blind spot warning, and intelligent cruise control. Also, I need to mention the fantastic surround view camera.
So yes, I've really pushed the outdated point, but it's by no means a bad car. It's just really starting to show its age, and it's undeniable.
The design and solutions are old. The powertrain is old. The gearbox? Old. And it's an old CVT.
I just have to acknowledge that. However, if those things don't matter to you, then there is some good news.
Before that, let's just run through some of the good stuff. It's spacious and practical. It's pretty well specced in this trim level. The materials on the inside are actually really good. And the infotainment system, despite looking old and honestly small, actually does what an infotainment system should.
So the good news. Expectedly, the X Trail is more affordable than pretty much any of its competitors with similar specs.
Look, it's cheaper than the Kia Sportage, not to mention the RAV4.
Sure, the RAV4 is much better, and the hybrid is the best car in its class, but it's much more expensive. And also, even for the CX-5, it's still paying about $10,000 extra for the top trim.
Pricing for the X Trail starts at just under $30,000 for the ST and climbs up to just over $45,000 for the Ti Petrol.
And that's not all. With the new model coming soon, the prices are going to drop even further. So keep your eye out for some great deals.
Now rewind to the part about the benefits of the X Trail. For this kind of money, you can't get into any new vehicle in its class that offers similar quality and features.
If you're not all about the latest styling or turbo and hybrid powertrains, and in that case fuel economy, then the X Trail TI's proposition is pretty hard to beat. But I would be waiting just a bit more time so that the prices can drop even lower. As always, thanks for watching CarTell.tv. So what do you think of the X Trail? Is it completely outdated and just, can't wait to get a new model? Or are you still all about it and it would be a good offering for you? We're really interested to know. Leave your comments below and we'll see you in the next video. That all rhymed.